Hello, this is the 외국인 from 외국인way.com. 안녕하세요. 저는 한국에도 만대현입니다. 그냥 웹사이트는 외국인way.com, 외국인way.com입니다. And this is the first of what will be many different podcasts that I upload to YouTube. Do I have a name for it yet? Not right now. This is just going to be an introduction and answer some frequently asked questions about myself that some of you have, whether you follow me on Facebook, on Twitter, or those of you who have met me in person. And so, first off, this podcast is brought to you by nobody at this time. So if you're looking to sponsor a podcast, if you're looking to sponsor anybody, I am more than willing to talk business with you. So, if you wish to contact me, you can do it via email at contact.waygokinway.com. That is contact.waygokinway.com. WaygookinWay.com is my blog site where I write about Korean things, Korean American culture, and my experience in Korean American and Korean culture. So definitely, if you have a chance, check out the site and you can send me feedback at that email again. That's contact@WaygookinWay.com. So, just to get into my background, who I am, what I do. Years ago, I had an opportunity to learn Korean. And so, two of the questions I get asked the most is, have I served in the military, and am I married to a Korean? And the answer to both questions is no. Never been married, never served in the military. Got an opportunity to learn Korean with a friend. We took the opportunity and took some Korean classes. Didn't take it as seriously as we should have, but had a lot of fun doing it, made some wonderful friends along the way, and just fell in love with the culture, fell in love with everything. And so here I am more than 10 years later, and I'm still involved in Korean American culture. And for the last 7-8 years, I've actually been managing some small businesses for Korean American business owners. So have quite a long history in Korean things and Korean American culture. Next biggest question I get asked is why the name WaygookinWay? Sounds like a strange name to people, but this is the reason for it. Waygookin in Korean is the word for foreigner. Or if you're a Bible reader and you see the term alien resident in the area of the Mosaic Law, Mosaic Bokum, then you will see in the Korean Bible the word 외국인. So 외국인 is a foreigner and outsider, basically. And so the word became somewhat familiar to soldiers serving in the Korean War because when people saw Americans for really the first time in person, a lot of little kids would shout out, 외국인, 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 to say, a foreigner's here, a foreigner's here. And so some people have that reaction to me speaking in Korean, my broken Korean. But basically, it symbolizes the fact that I am more or less an outsider. I am a foreign person in Korea, which I am not in Korea at this time. But there I am a foreigner because I look different. I am 195 centimeters tall, roughly. So definitely stand out compared to a lot of people there. Also, I am a dark-skinned black man, so I really stand out according to a lot of people in Korea. So I'm a foreigner for that reason. In Korean American culture, because I'm not Korean, then I am a foreigner. But also, in my typical American culture, I am also a foreigner. a foreigner in the sense that I don't do things the quote-unquote normal American way. I like Korean food, I like Korean dramas, I like Korean music. So I do things in a Korean way and it bugs people. But it's really my way and the way of my heart. So no matter where I am, I'm an outsider, a Waygookin, but I live life my own way. And that's living your life the Waygookin way. So that is what that name means and what that name symbolizes. If you understand Korean, and you heard me speaking Korean earlier, you heard me use my Korean name, which is probably the name I prefer to use more than my English name. So my Korean name is An Dae-un. So the story behind that name, 나는 작은 누나 name 안입니다. 그래서 우리의 가족은 안 가족입니다. So my sister who was learning Korean with me at the time, her middle name is Anne, so they gave her the family name An. And so because I am her fleshly brother, I have the Korean family name An. In Korean, your family name or last name comes first, and then your generational personal name or a combination of it. So An is our family name. Daeun. 나는 birthday 1982년 6월 18일입니다. 1982년 6월 18일입니다. 1985, 86년에서 나 아버지의 말씀이 대나 슬리옷 부배입니다. 따라서 나 한국 친구들 접근은 나는 큰 검입니다. 저는 190cm입니다. 그래서 큰 검입니다. 따라서 저는 개인 이름은 대운 좋아합니다. 그래서 저는 한국 이름 안 대운입니다. So that story, when I was a little kid, my dad would see me acting silly and call me a silly old Pooh Bear. And so the joke is because I'm so big that I am now a big bear. And so my name in Korean means big bear. But it's really named after Winnie the Pooh because I'm a silly old Pooh Bear. And so since it is based on a nickname that my dad gave me, my Korean name actually honors my sister and honors my father. So that's why I'm very proud of that name. Also, you do not get a Korean name right away when you're in Korean American culture. People give it to you when they feel like you actually belong as part of the culture. So that's another reason why I'm so proud of that name. And when I'm in Korea, I am known as only An Daeun. So that name means a lot to me, and that's a name I plan to keep using forever. So you hear me sometimes going back and forth between English and Korean. That is because the official language of this podcast is going to be Konglish. For those that don't know what Konglish is Korean mixed with English and vice versa. So sometimes you will be talking to a Korean person and they will throw in random Korean words. So in Korean sentence structure, it doesn't make any sense. In English, it doesn't make sense because you don't necessarily understand Korean. But to a Korean person, a Korean American, it totally makes sense. And so the mix is referred to as Konglish. Konglish actually upsets a lot of other Asian Americans as well because they don't understand what the Korean person is saying. So if I told you that I went to the kage and then I went to the market and I got some bang, some kimbap, and some doejigogi from the shikdan and stuff like that, then it wouldn't make sense to you if you don't know any Korean, but that's how a lot of Korean Americans talk, so just so you know that. As far as my Korean level, I am at intermediate level. I can read Korean, I can speak Korean. As far as my speaking Korean, my Korean clearly is not perfect if you understood what I was trying to say earlier. However, in Korea, I can communicate with people and be just fine. I can order food at restaurants, things of that nature. So being in Seoul does not intimidate me at all, not from the standpoint of it being so big, not from the standpoint of things being in Korean. So definitely there's room for improvement, but my Korean, to my surprise, is good to some people in Korea. As far as a lot of people have been contacting me about help with their Korean, learning Korean, and just what obstacles I had to face. The biggest obstacle that I had to face with my Korean is just dealing with negative people. And I didn't realize that until I went to Korea. And so after going to Korea, me and my friends that have been there that are not Korean, we all agree that there's sometimes a big difference between Koreans and Korean Americans. And so for many of the Korean Americans I knew, a lot of them had very negative attitude towards me. Some were open about it. So there would be times I would be at a meeting and I would walk in and I would introduce myself as An Dae-un. And they didn't know what An Dae-un looked like. And so when I walk in, there's a bunch of young Korean men rolling their eyes and they're visibly upset because they don't want a non-Korean around. And so that's one type of hatred that I've gone through. Others have just been people telling me that I don't belong in the culture. I need to quit pretending that I'm Korean when I'm not. People telling me that my Korean is horrible. Nobody in Korea would understand me. If I went to Korea, then people would think that I'm very ugly. Or to try to put me down sometimes, they would tell me things such as, well, you know, if you go to Korea, people are going to point at you, they're going to laugh at you, they're going to stare at you. You just got to be prepared for people just hating you because of the color of your skin or who you are. Or they would tell other people around me how if they went, they would be such good looking people and how there'd be women all over them or whatnot, and just a bunch of weird stuff that would go on. And so when I went to Korea, it was really nothing like anybody told me. The closest I think I came to somebody telling me the truth about Korea was a friend of mine who told me that where I live is not true Korean culture, and please don't judge the culture by the people that I was around. And that was great advice. I went to Korea, I had an open mind, and I was shown a bunch of love by pretty much everybody, including old people on the subway. Sometimes you hear the stories about the ajimas on the subway shushing people for talking loud, then talking louder than them, which is actually true. I have witnessed that on the subway. But just going there, trying my best to speak Korean, and when I could communicate with people in Korean, which is pretty much any conversation I attempted, it put people at ease and made them feel better. And so I quickly got adopted by a lot of people, and I got a lot of people who definitely treated me very well. And so to be able to go there and to gain that confidence that I can speak Korean, that I can understand Korean, and that I'm not looked down upon because of the color of my skin or my size or anything like that, it definitely was a life-changing experience. And so I always recommend to people, go to Korea if you can. If you're serious about Korean language, go to Korea and see Korea for yourself. Don't let other people in what they think make you feel a certain way about Korea. Go and live it for yourself. As far as my goals, definitely improving my Korean, but also moving to Korea. I think for what I want to do long term, which some of you know, I do writing about stuff in Korean culture, Korean American culture. It's going to be a lot easier for me and a lot better for me to do that in Korea. And so that's definitely what I'm hoping to do. That's what I'm looking to do. Plus, I just like the way of life in Korea better than I do the way of life in the United States. And that's just me personally. I think the best way for me to describe the feeling I had in Korea compared to the feeling that I have in the US is I was in Gangnam-gu. So for a lot of you who are not Korean, you know Gangnam from the song Gangnam Style. Gangnam has been described as the Beverly Hills of Korea. So there's major businesses located in Gangnam. There are very rich people that live in Gangnam. It's an expensive area to live in. And so I was out one night, it's a little after midnight. I'm walking around, I'm lost, but nobody is following me around. Nobody's staring at me, even though there's people out. And at first it felt weird because I'm so used to, even though I've never been arrested, never committed a crime, I'm so used to people following me and assuming the worst. But at first it was strange to not have that happen, and then the reality set in that that's how things should have been all along. I'm not a thug, I'm not a gangster, I'm not a criminal, therefore I shouldn't be followed around like one. And that's when it kind of crystallized that Korea is more home for me than the United States is. Here, it can be 12 o'clock at a Walmart and I'm followed around. But there, I'm just able to walk around, be free, be me. So definitely, I feel like Korea is more my home than the US. I feel like Seoul, in particular, is home for me. So that's my goal, is to move to Seoul. As far as what advice I would give people seeking to learn Korean, I just did this conversation not too long ago, but I would say biggest thing, culture explains the language. A lot of times people focus so much on the language they forget about the culture, but the culture explains things. So if you watch a Korean drama, you start to see that the subtitles are wrong because it'll say Mrs. Kim in the subtitle, but the person said Halmoni. Halmoni is a Korean word for grandma. And so even though that's not her fleshly grandma, it's just someone who is Halmoni to everybody because Korea is like one big family. So when you know the culture, you understand that. But if you don't know the culture, it seems strange. Why would she call her grandma? Or you'll have a guy calling another guy hyung, which is in Korean the way a guy calls another guy his older brother. But they're not brothers, they're not cousins, they're just friends. But because he loves him like a brother, he calls him hyung. And so, does it make sense? If you know the culture, yes. If you don't know the culture, then it doesn't make any sense at all. So definitely learn the culture, learn the food, learn about the entertainment, learn about all of it, so that it will explain to you why you say things the way you do. Next, learn vocabulary, not sentence structure. So many people get frustrated because they can't put a sentence together, and it's basically because they don't know enough words to put the sentence together. So Korean, the sentence structure is different. For instance, in English you say, I'm going to the store. Korean, it's more, I'm in the store going. So, difference between the subject-object-verb language and the subject-verb-object language. And so it can be frustrating. But if you don't have enough words to use for the sentence structure, it becomes very difficult and it becomes very painful. So focus on learning vocabulary and then make small sentences, and then as you get more comfortable, make larger sentences. If you try to just make sentences right away, you don't have enough words, you're going to fail at it. But if you do that approach, learn the culture, learn some words, then start putting them in sentences, then more than likely you'll be more successful when it comes to learning your Korean. And Korean changes over time and things get simpler. So, an example of that, the word girlfriend. When I first started learning Korean, girlfriend was 여자 친구. 여자, girl, woman, female. 친구, friend. So 여자 친구. Then it became 여 친구. Now some people just say 여친. So 여자 친구, 여 친구, 여친. If you're doing boyfriend, then 남자 친구, 남자, boy, man, male. 친구, still friend. So 남자 친구, 남친구, 남친. Korean simplifies itself over time. So as it simplifies itself and gets easier, if you're keeping up, then your Korean expressions become simpler as well. So if you're trying to learn and you're thinking about buying a CD program that was made 4 years ago, you can learn some basics from that, but don't highly recommend that. Could be wasting time and money. So, different ways of learning Korean. My site, WaygookinWay.com, I talk about different ways you can learn Korean and what my thoughts are on that. So, definitely go there and you can see that. For people who follow me on Facebook, and I'll put the link in the description box below for that. Why do I not have pictures of my face on Facebook? The simple reason for that is there are pictures of my appearance on my blog. So when somebody requests to see a picture of me via Facebook, it lets me know they did not go to my blog and they did not read anything that I wrote there. And that's what I need to know. I need to know who's contacting me because they read my blog, they thought that it was helpful, they perhaps want to do business in the future, and who might be messing around. And that's the easiest way for me to find that out. So, if you're listening to this and you're wondering, am I going to upload a bunch of pictures of me on Facebook? No, that's not going to happen, and it won't happen for that particular reason. So those are typically the questions that I get asked the most. Of course, if you have any questions, you can contact me. Again, email is contact@WaygookinWay.com. Again, I write about things involving Korean life, Korean and Korean American culture, but also I do some reviews on different things. So methods of learning Korean. What are some Korean apps and websites that will be helpful? Is this something you should do in Korea? Things of that nature. So if you have service that you want me to review or a product, definitely you can contact me, contact@WaygookinWay.com. On my website, WaygookinWay.com, there is already a review for a tutoring service, Tutor K. Their website is tutor-k.com. You can go onto my site and you can read what I thought of their service and if I would recommend it, if I would use their service. Also, recently there's been some Korean apps that I have reviewed, such as Egg Bun and Papago. So definitely check that out. And again, if you're looking to give feedback, if you're looking to have me review something for you, and write it on my blog. My blog does get hits in over 60 languages, 60 countries. So definitely it is international. It is definitely something that is more than just the United States and South Korea. So if you have a product you want to have reviewed in English, if you want to potentially sponsor my blog, sponsor this podcast, by all means, contact me at the email address contact@WaygookinWay.com. That's contact at WaygookinWay.com. So thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you again in the future. 한국 사람 정말 감사합니다. 정말 수고 많았습니다. 네, 안녕히 계세요. Bye.